Welcome to NTD Evening News. Our top story tonight, at least 15 people are dead after a violent attack in Sydney, Australia. 2 alleged gunmen opened fire during a Hanukkah celebration. Australia's Prime Minister responds. An update on the Saturday afternoon shooting at Brown University. Police say a person of interest has been detained. A former Hispanic Outreach Director for the Trump campaign gives his take on why a Democrat flipped the Miami mayor seat for the first time in nearly 30 years. Should Republicans be worried about the upcoming midterms? An immigration expert discusses the Trump administration's end to a program that reunited immigrant families in the U.S. Do the rewards of boxing justify the dangers of concussion and blunt force trauma? A USA boxing team physician and a former professional boxer offer their insights into the pros and cons of the sport. And a new exhibition in Bologna, Italy details the life and career of Michelangelo. A closer look at lesser-known sculptures, drawings, and original letters from the Renaissance master.
This is NTD Evening News, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Arlene Richards. At least 15 people were killed in Sydney, Australia today after a violent attack during a Hanukkah celebration. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese responded.
An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian. And every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life. There is no place for this hate, violence and terrorism in our nation. Let me be clear, we will eradicate it.
The attack happened at Sydney's Bondi Beach, where 2 suspects opened fire. During the event, a statement from police said 2 of the victims died after being rushed to the hospital. One of them was a 10-year-old girl. Police said 40 more people were injured, according to reports. A bystander tackled and disarmed one of the 2 alleged shooters. New South Wales police said one of the attackers died at the scene, while the other was taken to the hospital under police guard with critical injuries. Police have declared the shooting a terrorist incident. It's being called Australia's worst in nearly 30 years. In the hours following, Israel's Knesset Parliament building in Jerusalem was lit up with the colors of the Australian flag. It was a gesture of solidarity with the country's Jewish community. This is a developing story. We'll keep you updated. From cultural celebrations in D.C., intensified diplomacy abroad, and new immigration policies, it's been a busy week for the Trump administration. NTD's Daniel Monahan has your White House week in review.
President Trump hosted the Kennedy Center Honors, which recognized Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, the rock band Kiss, George Strait, and Tony Award winner Michael Crawford.
They've raised our sights and lifted our spirits and touched our hearts.
And I'm proud to be an American.
The president also traveled to Pennsylvania for a rally, highlighting the economy and efforts to lower the cost of living, including on energy.
It was just reported that 4 states had $1.99 a gallon. Right?
In national security news, U.S. forces seized a large sanctioned oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela.
The Department of Justice requested and was approved for a warrant to seize a vessel because it's a sanctioned shadow vessel known for carrying black market sanctioned oil to the IRGC.
On Thursday, President Trump and the First Lady hosted the White House Congressional Ball, where the president emphasized bipartisan cooperation on issues like health care.
Tonight, we're going to set aside all political differences. We're not going to criticize each other. We're going to love each other.
I hope you will be excited to support my new legislative initiative in 2026.
I don't know what it is she's doing, but I know it's going to be great for children.
The administration officially launched its new immigration gold card.
It's somewhat like a green card, but with big advantages over a green card.
It will fast-track visas for certain immigrants in exchange for a $1 million fee. Turning to border enforcement, the U.S. has agreed to purchase 6 Boeing 737 commercial passenger aircraft for deporting illegal immigrants for about $140 million. Homeland Security says more than 2.5 million illegal immigrants have left the U.S. since January, calling it a record-breaking achievement.
What keeps me up at night is that we don't necessarily know all of the people that are in this country, who they are and what their intentions are.
20 House Republicans joined Democrats in approving legislation that would overturn President Trump's executive order restricting most unions representing federal employees.
The Protect America's Workforce Act would overturn President Trump's executive order from March that ended collective bargaining rights for roughly 1 million Americans.
Ukraine delivered an updated 20-point peace proposal to the U.S., President Zelensky saying the final mile is the hardest. The White House says the president is extremely frustrated with both sides in the Ukraine war.
He doesn't want any more talk. He wants action. He wants this war to come to an end.
Tensions in Asia. After joint exercises conducted by Chinese and Russian strategic bombers near Japan, U.S. strategic bombers joined a fleet of Japanese fighter jets in a military exercise. And the U.S. trade deficit fell to just under $53 billion in September, the lowest since mid-2020, driven by strong export growth. The White House says it's further evidence that President Trump's America First trade agenda is delivering results. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
A Saturday afternoon shooting at Brown University left 2 people dead and 9 injured. Police have now detained a person of interest.
The investigation continues to progress extremely fast. We're in the process of collecting evidence and seizing items that we need to seize, search locations that we need to search. I want to commend the quick response of ATF, FBI. As the items get seized and collected, obviously they will provide the resources and the equipment that we need to ensure that we have the right legal requirements and facts in order to be able to provide that so that we can move along.
So I've been fully briefed on the Brown University situation, what a terrible thing it is, and all we can do right now is pray for the victims and for those that were very badly hurt, it looks like, and we'll inform you later as to what's happening, but it's a shame.
Remaining classes and exams have been canceled at the Rhode Island University. Some parts of campus are off limits after an earlier shelter-in-place order was lifted. Details about the suspect have not been revealed, but police said they were searching for a male dressed in black on Saturday evening. The shooting took place while final exams were in progress. Brown University Provost Francis Doyle was asked about security at the school. He said students use cards to access buildings, but suggested someone without access could have entered due to heavy traffic during final exams. Healthcare at the center of discussions on Capitol Hill this week. Senators voted on dueling proposals from Democrats and Republicans. Now members of the House are moving a plan of their own. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has your weekly roundup from Congress.
Lawmakers are racing the clock to find a path forward on health insurance policy, as COVID-era Obamacare subsidies are set to expire in less than 3 weeks.
We need to do triage, and the first thing is to face the emergency that millions of Americans face when these tax credits disappear.
Democrats are pushing to extend the enhanced subsidies for 3 more years. Republicans, though, are eyeing a way to phase out Obamacare, starting with creating health savings accounts for Americans.
The Republican plan is to put the money into the patient's pocketbook so that she has money to pay for the insurance out of pocket.
In back-to-back votes, senators failed to advance proposals from either party. Now House Republicans are pushing a plan of their own.
A package come together that will be on the floor next week that will actually reduce premiums for 100% of Americans who are on health insurance, not just the 7%.
The House package aims to expand association health plans, lower premiums for certain Obamacare enrollees, and lower drug costs. Though some Republicans still want to extend Obamacare subsidies for a short stint.
Certainly I'm in favor of PBM reform, health savings accounts, association healthcare plans, various other ideas. Are any of those things going to become law and help people by the time of this cliff that's coming at the end of the year? No.
House lawmakers also approved the $900 billion national defense bill this week. Priorities include a pay raise for service members, military aid for Ukraine, and restricting investments in China. Also in the House, an attempt to impeach President Trump failed.
Essentially, we've said impeachment is a serious issue. It requires a serious process, and that process was missing.
As controversy continues to mount over the Trump administration's strikes on drug boats, lawmakers probed the Chinese Communist Party's involvement with gangs in Latin America.
We see CCP and PRC working directly with Chinese criminal groups that exist in Mexico to bring those chemicals in, help production of fentanyl and methamphetamine, and then directing those drugs towards our country.
The experts revealed that the networks have laundered $312 billion over the past 4 years for Mexican cartels and wealthy Chinese individuals.
Chinese criminal networks are building a Silk Road of crime that stretches from Fujian province to Flushing, Queens, New York, San Gabriel Valley, California, and beyond.
In a separate event on Capitol Hill, several organizations joined the China Human Rights Fair, showcasing the atrocities of the Chinese regime.
The Chinese regime is the only regime in the world that's harvesting organs from its own citizens.
Several groups in China, like Tibetans and Uyghur Muslims, are victims of forced organ harvesting, with Falun Gong practitioners being the main target.
Falun Gong practitioners, who I have known for a very long time, simply for exercising their religious freedom. Chinese government are afraid of them because there is very significant number, and so we just need to keep up with our pressure.
The groups called for more congressional action to address these atrocities still taking place in China. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
A blast of Arctic cold is sweeping down from Canada into the United States. It was expected to impact northern and Midwest states the most. Almost 49 million people are under cold weather alerts. The cold is expected to reach as far as the southern U.S. and bring below freezing temperatures. Record lows are possible. Snow showers blanketed several areas before stopping around midday today. Lake effect snow warnings could mean more snow downwind of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. The Northwest is still struggling after recent floods. The area is dealing with the possibility of mudslides. The cold weather is expected to linger into Monday and beyond. Some areas will start to see relief later in the week. According to the Weather Channel, a warmer weather system is expected late next week and going into Christmas as the cold air recedes into Canada. 2 U.S. soldiers and 1 interpreter are dead after an attack in Syria, and a U.S. delegation is in Germany working on peace for Ukraine. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pazdar has updates from around the globe.
Mr. President, will the U.S. retaliate against ISIS?
Yeah, we will. President Trump on Saturday saying the U.S. will retaliate against ISIS. 2 U.S. Army soldiers and 1 interpreter are reported dead after an attack in Syria. After the attack, Trump took to social media, saying this was an ISIS attack against the U.S. and Syria in a very dangerous part of Syria that is not fully controlled by the Syrian government. President Trump commented on Syria's reaction while speaking to reporters.
The new president of Syria is, as they told me, and as I'm not surprised, he's devastated by what happened. This was an ISIS attack on us and Syria.
Meanwhile, in Germany, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner seen arriving in Berlin on Sunday morning. On Saturday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed he's planning to meet with U.S. officials.
I will have meetings with representatives of President Trump regarding the foundation of peace, a political agreement to end the war.
He didn't mention what exactly they're scheduled to talk about and which officials he's planning to meet with. And in Ukraine, officials say Russia launched a large-scale attack over the weekend. According to Zelensky, Russia used over 450 drones and 30 missiles to attack various cities. At least 2 civilians are reported dead.
Recovery is ongoing. It is difficult, but all necessary forces are involved. I instructed government officials to accelerate repair processes as much as possible.
Ukraine says Russia attacked energy and infrastructure, leaving thousands of families without power as the winter cold is getting more extreme. And in more positive news, Russia ally Belarus freeing over 120 prisoners, including key opposition figures. The prisoners' release is part of a deal with Washington that lifted some U.S. sanctions on Belarus. One of the released opposition figures suggested he might have been tortured during his time in prison.
I began experiencing uncontrolled loss of consciousness. During one of these episodes, I came to my senses and found that I had ended up with a broken rib, a punctured lung, bilateral pneumonia, and, I believe, 23 skull lacerations.
The released prisoners gave the press conference in Ukraine. One of them saying she's now leaving for the European Union so she can live in peace with her family. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
Coming up, a former member of the Trump campaign analyzes the Miami mayoral race won by a Democrat for the first time in nearly 30 years. And do the rewards of boxing justify the dangers of concussion and blunt force trauma? A USA boxing team physician and a former professional boxer offer their insights into the pros and cons of the sport when we come back.
Looking for a healthy and smooth-tasting brew? Drop by Days Coffee Roasters today and explore our wide selection of specialty-grade, small-batch roasted coffee. Home to North America's first enzyme-fermented coffee, we source a wide selection of specialty-grade coffee beans from around the world, and our baristas are ready to craft your customized brew. Visit Days Coffee at 28 North Street, Middletown, New York. Come experience a brew like no other.
Looking for the perfect gift this season? Get a new recliner from Mathis Home during the holiday savings event. They have hundreds of recliners from top brands starting at just $199. Take your pick. These genuine Lazy Boy recliners are holiday priced at just $485. It's your chance to save on the comfort and quality Lazy Boy is famous for, just $485. With our incredible selection, you're sure to find the recliner just right for you. They're all in stock, ready for fast free delivery during the holiday savings event at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
There's a whirlwind of emotion and activity going on in this painting. And there's chaos all around and threat from below. The wolves surrounding her, and they're anything but unmoved. They're moving all the time, and we sense that. But this little girl
got a new house. I finally found a place that I call home.
President Trump and the First Lady spoke earlier today at a White House Christmas reception. In his remarks, Trump highlighted the tragic events that have happened over the weekend. Watch.
Before we begin, however, I want to just pay my respects to the people. Unfortunately, 2 are no longer with us. Brown University, 9 injured, and 2 are looking down on us right now from heaven. And likewise in Australia, as you know, that was a terrible attack, 11 dead, 29 badly wounded. And that was an anti-Semitic attack, obviously. And I just want to pay my respects to everybody. I must say in Syria also, we had an attack in Syria, and we had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people, and not the Syrian government. It was ISIS. Syrian government fought by our side. The new president fought by our side. But I just want to pay my respects to the families. We also had 3 injured, but 2 of them are already out of the hospital, and 1's going to be okay. But we lost 3, so it was a rough day.
The president said there will be big damage in response to the assault in Syria. He also heaped praise and respect on the Good Samaritan that stepped in during the Bondi Beach shooting in Sydney. The man was able to stop and disarm one of the 2 suspects. Trump then shifted to lighter topics, highlighting his grandchildren and joking with his granddaughter Kai, Trump about golf. He unexpectedly brought pro golfer Bryson DeChambeau on stage to praise the First Lady and the economy and recounting DeChambeau's U.S. Open win. He also invited First Lady Melania Trump to speak. She offered her own condolences for the attacks before touching on Christmas decorations at the White House. This coming week, boxing sensation Jake Paul is set to face two-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua in what could be the toughest fight in his career. From world-famous stars like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson to blockbuster films like Rocky and Creed, boxing is as much a sport as it is a cultural icon in the U.S. But does its popularity and sporting value justify the physical risks to the athletes themselves? In this episode of Vital Signs, USA boxing team physician Dr. Barry Jordan and former professional boxer Antonio Graceffo joined host Brendan Fallon to offer their insights into the pros and cons of the sport.
On this topic of boxing, Dr. Jordan, this is a sport that has a cult status alongside its value as its recognition as a major sport and the money it brings in and everything like that. It's almost, if you look at film, going back to the Rocky series in the 70s, all the way to the Creed spin-off of the Rocky series now, this fascination with this sport hasn't waned over 40 years or more. And it's often seen, it's like a metaphor for the human spirit. I guess it's something about someone getting beaten to the point of being knocked out, or just the battering that can come with boxing, and the potential to still stand up and keep going. I guess there's something that people find inspiring in that. But we also have, alongside that, probably the potential to get more injured than any other sport. So I'm interested to know what value, do you see a value in boxing?
Okay, that's a very good question. First of all, boxing has declined in popularity over the years, and it's been somewhat overshadowed by mixed martial arts, or UFC, Ultimate Fighting. In terms of the value of boxing, as any other sport, boxing affords the athlete the opportunity to socialize, and sometimes it gives them the opportunity to change their social condition. Although that's not the argument that I use why I participate in the sport as a physician, I think that is an important issue. It can improve someone's social economic status. It keeps kids out of trouble, gives them something to do. But that's the same with any sport. Any sport usually helps kids stay out of trouble, basically. The reason why I participated in the sport as a physician and being a neurologist was that I felt that someone needed to provide care to these athletes that may sustain brain injury. I didn't think it's fair to totally abandon care for them because someone doesn't care about the sport. I think they should be afforded the best medical care. Boxing will never be able to be 100% safe. That's just impossible. But I always believed that you can make it safer. And I think over the last 3 to 4 decades that I've been involved with boxing, we've made it safer.
Are you aware of someone that you've helped or worked with who's had that experience where it's kind of lifted them out of a difficult economic situation?
Yes, I've seen plenty of boxers. But more importantly, it's probably the social situation that helps them more. There's a misconception that boxers tend to make a lot of money. There's only a few select boxers that really make a lot of money from boxing. But I've seen boxing turn around athletes' lives. Instead of being on the streets and gangs, they're in the gym. And I think that makes a big difference. And, being involved with boxing for almost 40 years, it's a family. Boxing is a family. And I personally have met many great people through the field of boxing. And I think it's a great social vehicle for the athletes, for the officials, or anybody else that's involved.
Is there sufficient value there in boxing to make up for the kind of danger that is present? And what is that value?
I think there is. I think that amateur boxing is wonderful, and kids grow up, because remember that probably, I don't know the percentage, let's say it's 90% or more of kids that even if they grow up competing in amateur boxing, even if they're avid competitors, there's almost no university programs in the United States for boxing. There's the service academies, the military service academies, maybe 2 or 3 other universities have boxing. So for the most part, when they graduate high school, they're going to go off to college, they're never going to box again, and they're probably never going to have any trauma. Very few of them will turn pro. So we're talking about a really incredibly small percentage of people that will then turn pro, and then a much smaller that are going to get this head trauma. It's just in some people, it actually caused negative effects.
Having read part of the paper that you wrote in 1988 on the subject of safety measures for boxing, one of these was to wear headgear, head protection. Another one was to have a ring physician present who, with the potential to stop the bout. I can see that this obviously would have a safety, would improve safety, but it could also cut into finances and the kind of economic gain from boxing if a bout can just be stopped like that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I have a strong opinion about that. I think when you deal with boxing, outside of the finances, the most important thing is not the finances, but is the health and safety of the boxer. That comes number one.
To see that full interview and others on how to optimize health, go to ept.ms/vital signs. Vital Signs offers general health information not intended as medical diagnosis or advice. Please consult your doctor before undertaking a new health regimen.
Here's one for the fans of old Hollywood. Legendary actor Dick Van Dyke is celebrating his 100th birthday this weekend. He is best known for his roles in Mary Poppins, Bye Bye Birdie, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and of course, The Dick Van Dyke Show. Over the course of his career, he has won 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Tony Award, and a Grammy Award. He was also inducted into the Television Hall of Fame in 1995. In honor of his big day Saturday, the documentary film Dick Van Dyke 100th Celebration is playing in theaters this weekend. As far as how Van Dyke plans on celebrating his milestone birthday, his wife recently told People magazine that he plans on watching Jeopardy reruns. Coming up, an immigration expert discusses the Trump administration's end to a program that reunited immigrant families in the U.S. That and more in just a minute here on NTD News.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health, my own mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I've never been more devastated than the day I lost my mom. I was depressed, miserable, in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came. My pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. The chaos that was in me began to subside. I was more focused, clear. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. That's not up for debate. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Skylar, come here. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
the time goes, I don't know how I got here. Ooh.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
The Department of Homeland Security is ending family reunification parole programs for immigrants from 7 countries like Colombia, Cuba, and Ecuador. The program was intended to help U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents bring their foreign family members to the United States as a first step toward obtaining permanent residency. But the administration said the program was being abused to allow poorly vetted aliens to get into the country. Joining me to discuss is Jessica Vaughn, Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, Jessica, you've spoken about family reunification programs in the past. Tell us generally why these types of programs were initiated and what they are legally designed to accomplish.
Well, these programs started, the first one in 2007, for people who are citizens of Cuba, under a treaty that we made with the government of Cuba to allow some people to escape from that nation who had families in the United States. And it was limited in number. And then it was extended to Haitians in 2014. And the Biden administration expanded it in 2023 to add several other countries from South America and Central America. And what it does essentially is allow these individuals to jump ahead in line in the line for green cards just because they happen to be citizens of a particular favored country. And it was really, a lot of people feel, including myself, that these were not legal to begin with and should never have been implemented. And then the Biden administration, on top of it, decided to wait to vet people later after they had already arrived in the United States, instead of verifying their identity, doing criminal background checks, making sure they were going to be qualified to come into the country. They did not do that. They allowed tens of thousands of people under this program to come in without really rigorous vetting. So it was a double problem of potential fraud, potential security risks, and also this idea of letting these people from these favored countries jump ahead of millions of other people waiting to apply for a green card based on a family relationship.
Now, several years ago, you criticized these programs before a Senate Judiciary hearing, and you said at that time the programs have been presented to the public in a deceptive way. Can you just expand a little bit more on what you were just talking about how these programs are being abused and by whom?
Sure. I think the first deception is to call it a family reunification program, as if the government has separated these individuals. What we're talking about here is individuals who've migrated legally to the United States, and then either acquired family members like a spouse and the children of that spouse, or more distant relatives that they chose to separate themselves from in their home country, like adult siblings, adult parents, other non-immediate family relatives. So these, the sponsors chose to come to the United States through our legal immigration program, which is great. But I don't think that the United States necessarily has to be concerned about family separation when that immigrant chose to come here to begin with. We have a process for them to sponsor these relatives, but there's a lot of demand for it and there's a long wait. So I think that, really this was a creation of an exception and special treatment for certain immigrants from certain countries that I think really was not fair to people from in the rest of the world who were waiting their turn.
Now, DHS said in its press release on Friday that reuniting families does not overcome the government's responsibility to prevent fraud and abuse and uphold national security and public safety. So the administration has faced legal setbacks over their policies, right? And are you expecting pushback on this latest move?
I am not. I think there will be some buddy who tries to sue the government on this, but all of these people who were given this parole to begin with were told that it may or may not be renewed. It was at the secretary's discretion. It was not any kind of an entitlement program, and that they could wait in their home country. It affects about 36,000 people. So that's kind of a small number in the greater scheme of our legal immigration system that allows in 1 million people a year. And I don't think that they're going to have a legal leg to stand on, particularly when we consider that the Biden program did not do the background checks and authenticating identity that we have, that we need to have in a legal immigration program. So I don't think these challenges will be successful.
Well, just explain why do they target these 7 countries? Why these 7 countries?
Well, the Biden administration picked these countries, except for Cuba and Haiti, which were a kind of a different situation. But Colombia and the Central American countries were chosen because they have a lot of demand for immigration, and a lot of these people were coming illegally instead. But as it turns out, as the government explains in this new rule, it wasn't the same people who were coming illegally. This program was not really doing anything to address illegal immigration. It was a security risk, and it was unfair to a lot of the people trying to come legally from other parts of the world. So it really didn't make sense to continue giving special treatment to people from these particular countries.
Okay, so expanding on that, so given this administration's belief that the Biden administration allowed for these large numbers of refugee admissions from these nations with terror and gang problems, so do you think measures like this one are necessary to combat the national security concern, or should they take a more balanced approach and give equal focus to reuniting families?
Well, I think the cornerstone of our legal immigration system always has been family-based immigration. People, immigrants being able to sponsor family members, and that should continue, but we should never do it at the expense of letting people in without knowing anything about their background. We should never suspend the vetting of immigrants that we do to avoid letting in people who are either lying about their identity and committing fraud, or who have a criminal background or some association with terrorism or some other problem in their application. We should do that vetting first and not, suspend that just because they're coming sponsored by a family member.
I think Secretary Kristi Noem recently said at a hearing that what keeps her up at night is not knowing who the million or so people are that are still here that haven't been sent back home. Jessica Vaughn, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Coming up, a new exhibition in Bologna, Italy details the life and career of Michelangelo. A closer look at lesser-known sculptures, drawings, and original letters from the Renaissance master. And shoppers in London are getting ready to stuff their stockings with unique Christmas gifts. A closer look at some handcrafted finds from artisans and entrepreneurs in just a minute here on NTD News.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
I go by Jackie. I'm 44 years old. I had 3 kids at the time and single mother. I was working 60 hours a week, still couldn't pay the bills. Skip meals so that they could eat. It's been hard because one thing falls into place, 10 things fall out of place. I just can't do this alone and make it work.
1 in 5 children face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. But everyone needs nourishing food to thrive, and they can when we work together so our neighbors can feed their families. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for families across America.
One day my mother came over to my house and said, "There's a meeting at the pantry." I said, "Okay." And I went. There were some ladies in there. They were from the food bank. They asked several questions. Some of those were about me and my story, but it helped me to open up a little bit.
We're getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of people facing hunger, from coast to coast and in your own community. And when you give by credit card, we'll send you this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you are a part of a movement of supporters working together to help end hunger.
I have people that I can trust. I have hope.
Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org, and your gift can double in impact.
Kids love it. Parents trust it.
Obviously.
Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjiong Campus courses led by expert educators.
This is spectacular.
Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more.
Wow.
All while having fun.
Perfect.
Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
Next, NTD's Chris Beers spoke with Fortune 500 director turned children's author Terry Aslan. His book's message, the importance of courage and kindness. Take a look.
Terry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you having me here today.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. So what inspired you to write this book?
So the book was inspired for myself, was inspired by my late wife, Patricia Aslan. She was a kindergarten teacher, mom, for kindergarten teacher for over 30 years. And she had a number of life lessons that she would teach to her 5-year-olds and to our children. And part of that was, one of her favorite things was she taught to her kids every single day, you can do hard things. And that kind of just stuck with those kids. She would have kids that would graduate from high school and come back and be part of her life. And so, Mrs. Aslan, I remember you telling me I can do hard things. And so her services was based around that topic and had testimonies and so forth. But so I was looking for a way to honor her. I've had most of my life is obviously in the business world and the medical world and different things. But I started playing around with some wording, and lo and behold, I came up with a book, and here I am today.
And it's meant to honor your wife.
Absolutely, yeah. It's meant to honor her legacy, but also it's a timely message. As going through this, we have a 3-year-old grandson. and trying to explain to him his Nana and what she was going through, because she battled for 7 years. And particularly the last number of months were really tough. So we, not only just to honor her, but something that parents can have a discussion with their children about. And it doesn't have to be particularly that, but we all, doesn't matter who we are, we all go through hard things in life, and having a perspective of that.
Yeah, and I know this book uses the C word,
yes,
cancer.
Absolutely, it does. Yes, and so we, myself and my publicist went back and forth and said, and quite honestly, I said, should I put that in there? And she said, I remember she said, absolutely. She said, if we're going to write this book, and you're writing this book, and you're being very honest about it, said, kids need to, because kids know what that is, but parents don't always know how to explain it. And my book, I believe, helps with that. But it's also a generational book that can be passed down as well. So.
Yeah, and I feel like kids are so often underestimated. I mean, they can handle difficult conversations if their parents guide them through it well.
Absolutely, Chris, and that's such a good point. It's one of the things my wife would always say with the 5-year-olds. She would say, parents underestimate what they can grasp and what they can do. So she always pushed them out to the out to the edge, and the same with the book, and talking about the struggles and how you feel and the grief and so forth, but it's broken down. It's in a very simple terms that parents can use.
Yeah, it sounds like you're providing a tool to parents. Now, as I was researching your book, I learned that you were in international sales, Fortune 500 director, and now you're a children's author.
It's you never know where you're going to land in life. Early on in my career, I was in medical sales, and fortunately opened up new markets all across the world, and had that opportunity to travel. And my late wife, Pat, she would travel with me during the summers when she was off before we had children. And then later in life, when I worked for a Fortune 500 company, much more on the operations side. And so that's kind of where I landed. And then after my wife got to a point, about October-ish of last year, I kind of set things aside just to focus on the two of us. And now, with the book written, and kind of feel like she's back.
Yeah, and I know you lost your wife in February, and I'm sorry for your loss.
I appreciate that, Chris.
Yeah, and it's incredibly brave of you to get up here to tell her story. I mean, it's not even a year, right?
Not even a year.
It's so important to be able. I mean, for you, I'm sure, to be able to do that.
It is, and grief comes in so many different manners, and there is not one way to handle it is standard for people. But for myself, it's this helped me heal, and I just wanted to pass that along. I don't want to keep it for myself. And it's a book. It's a book about courage. It's about kindness, and it's about resiliency.
Yeah, such important messages today in this world. I mean, there's so many things that we need resilience for, that we need kindness for. So just in the last 30 seconds, Terry, what do you hope children whose parents read this book to them, take away from it?
What I hope is that the kids get a grasp and understanding that within themselves, they have that ability to overcome hard things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a death. It doesn't necessarily have to be something, but we will face hard things. But that repetitive motto or phrase, that's what I hope, that someday when they grow up and say, I can do this, and I can do it well. So
and we all need that message. I mean, no matter what age you're at, no matter how many hard things you've encountered,
I'm telling you,
you got to remember that you can do it.
Absolutely.
All right, Terry Aslan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
A new exhibition in Bologna, Italy details the life and career of Michelangelo. Rare sculptures, drawings, and original letters by the Italian master highlight the artist's connection to the city. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the details.
In the galleries of Palazzo Fava, the Madonna of the Stairs, Michelangelo carved the piece in 1491 when he was still a teenager. Study on a draped figure hangs nearby. The new exhibition is entitled Michelangelo in Bologna.
The exhibition aims to be very narrative because these are like two stories from the same biography, that of Michelangelo, which is rich, varied, and long, having lived to the age of 89. So we find him as a young debutante and relatively serene in this first year in Bologna. We find him, however, much more tired and tormented as a 30-year-old.
The first part of the exhibition focuses on Michelangelo's arrival in Bologna in 1494. He arrived in the city at only 20 years old, fleeing political instability in Florence. At the time, he was commissioned for 3 statues for the Ark of San Domenico and the Basilica of San Domenico.
An experience in Bologna born of trauma, the fear that the different political regime was hostile and dangerous to him. However, it soon became a work experience when Aldrovandi secured for him what was perhaps the most prestigious commission possible for a young sculptor in Bologna.
The exhibition moves to Michelangelo's work from 1506 to 1508. By that time, he was already an established sculptor.
The second stay is important because he must regain the favor of Pope Julius II. There had been a disagreement between the two of them. Michelangelo suddenly left Rome because of how he had been treated by the pontiff. And at this point, in the end, Julius II called him to Bologna, recently conquered by his army.
The exhibition also includes correspondence between Michelangelo and his brother Buonarrota in Florence. The letter provides a glimpse into the artist's daily life, struggles, and aspirations. The exhibition, Michelangelo and Bologna, runs at Palazzo Fava until February 15, 2026. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
A London market features handcrafted items for shoppers looking for unique Christmas gifts. Artisans and entrepreneurs are offering products that can't be found anywhere else. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more.
This is the Salad Days market at London's Battersea Power Station. Sarah Brown is an artist, designer, and content creator. She's been busy this holiday season.
I've been making so many different things. So I've got a lot of hand-embellished decorations for the tree or for anywhere really. We've got some sequin ones, some paisleys that I've made that are laser cut out of acrylic, hand-painted vintage baubles, and just honestly everything I can make sparkly and beaded. Yeah, I've tried to make it.
Imogen Rhodes Davies is the founder of Imogen Melissa. She started her company in 2020.
So I've got all of the handmade decorations which are perfect for gifting, perfect for that person that you don't know what to buy for because they've got everything. You can always get them a decoration.
Rhodes Davies says she's proud that she's turned her hobby into a business.
So I took it full time last year and it definitely took some time to get to that point. Because I think, getting that constant revenue stream coming in is quite difficult when you work for yourself. But I do lots of workshops which has really helped with that.
Visitor Gannett Randall says she appreciates individual handcrafted products. She also takes pride in spending locally.
I think supporting small businesses is really important. I mean, especially like in the economy, supporting a small business actually has great impact.
Olivia Odlum Tinker and her sister Daisy started Salad Days 6 years ago. The twin sisters have hosted more than 80 markets around London.
The biggest thing that has changed is our growth. So we started out, we didn't even have an Instagram account, we didn't have a website, we had nothing. Obviously now we're 6 years later, we have nearly 100,000 followers on Instagram, we have 20,000 followers on TikTok, 10,000 subscribers on our newsletter, so just our community has grown massively.
Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
For round-the-clock coverage, visit us at ntd.com/live or download our NTD app. And that's all for tonight's news. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Marlene Richards. Good night.